The shocking truth. Drew's memory could change everything in Port Charles. The sterile walls of General Hospital seemed to close in around Dante Falconeri. As he sat in the uncomfortable plastic chair beside Drew Kane's hospital bed, the steady beeping of monitors filled the silence, punctuated only by the occasional shuffle of nurses in the hallway. Drew had been unconscious for 3 days since the shooting, his body fighting to recover from 2 bullets that had nearly ended his life. Dante rubbed his tired eyes, thinking about the extensive suspect list he'd been working through. Nearly half of Port Charles had a reason to want Drew dead. From his political corruption to his personal betrayals, the congressman had made enemies everywhere he went. The investigation had already eliminated several suspects, but the case remained frustratingly open. Detective Falconeri, the soft voice of Dr. Lucas Jones, broke through his thoughts. He's showing signs of consciousness. You might want to be here when he wakes up. Dante straightened in his chair, pulling out his notepad. After days of interviewing suspects, Nina Reeves with her suspicious alibis, Willow Tate with her emotional turmoil, even members of the Quartermain family, he was desperate for a break in the case. Drew himself might be the key to solving his own attempted murder. The monitors began beeping more rapidly as Drew's eyelids fluttered. His breathing became less regular, more conscious. Slowly, his eyes opened, unfocused and confused as they adjusted to the harsh hospital lighting. Drew, Dante leaned forward. Can you hear me? You're safe. You're in General Hospital. Drew's lips moved soundlessly before a hoarse whisper escaped. Water, doctor. Jones quickly provided ice chips, helping Drew wet his parched throat. After a few moments, Drew's eyes found Dante's face, recognition dawning slowly. Dante, Drew managed, his voice still weak but gaining strength. Someone shot me. I know, Dante replied gently. I'm investigating. Do you remember what happened? Can you tell me who did this to you? Drew closed his eyes, his forehead creasing with the effort of memory. The shooting had happened so quickly. He'd been looking at Willow's engagement ring, talking about their future, when the first bullet struck him in the back. The pain had been immediate and overwhelming, followed by the terror of knowing the shooter was still there, still dangerous. I was at home, Drew began slowly. I'd just gotten back from thinking about everything that's been happening, with Willow, with the family, with all the mess I'd created. Dante waited patiently, knowing that rushing Drew could cause him to lose crucial details. The congressman had clearly been through a traumatic experience, and his memories might be fragmented. I heard something behind me, Drew continued, his breathing becoming more labored as the memory returned. I started to turn around, but then, he winced, his hand moving instinctively toward his bandaged back. The first shot hit me. I went down hard. Did you see who it was? Dante pressed gently. Even a glimpse? A shadow? Anything that might help us identify the shooter? Drew's eyes opened wider, and for a moment, Dante saw something that looked almost like fear mixed with confusion. Drew stared at the ceiling, his breathing becoming more rapid. I did see them, Drew whispered, so quietly that Dante had to lean closer to hear. When I was on the ground, bleeding, trying to stay conscious, they stood over me. I saw their face clearly before the second shot. Dante's pen was poised over his notepad, ready to finally get the break he needed. Who was it, Drew? Who shot you? The answer that came next made Dante's blood run cold. It was Sam, Drew said with absolute certainty. Sam McCall shot me. The notepad slipped from Dante's suddenly nerveless fingers, clattering to the floor. He stared at Drew in complete shock, his mind struggling to process what he'd just heard. This wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. Drew, Dante said carefully, his voice tight with controlled emotion. That's not. Sam is dead. She died months ago. You were at her funeral. But Drew was shaking his head with surprising vigor for someone who'd just awakened from a coma. No, Dante. I know what I saw. It was Sam. She was standing right over me with the gun. I'd know her face anywhere, those eyes, that expression when she's angry. It was definitely Sam McCall. The room seemed to spin around Dante. Sam, his Sam, had been dead for months. He'd held her hand as she slipped away, had spoken at her funeral, had grieved for her every single day since. The idea that she could have shot Drew was not just impossible, it was cruel. Drew, you've been through a severe trauma, Dante said, trying to maintain his professional composure even as his personal world threatened to collapse. Sometimes after a head injury or extreme stress, memories can become confused. You might be thinking of someone who looked like Sam, or, I am not confused, Drew's voice gained strength, becoming almost angry. I know the difference between a hallucination and reality. Sam McCall shot me, Dante. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know why she'd do it, but it was her. You have to investigate this. Doctor. Jones stepped forward, checking Drew's vitals with concern. Detective, I think we should let Mr. Kane rest. This conversation is obviously causing him distress. But Dante couldn't let it go. His mind was racing through impossible scenarios. Could Sam somehow still be alive? Had her death been faked? Was there some explanation that didn't require him to believe his grief had been for nothing? Drew, Dante said urgently, ignoring the doctor's protests. Are you absolutely certain? Could it have been someone else? Someone who looked like her? It was. Sam Drew enunciated each word clearly, his eyes boring into Dante's with unwavering conviction. I stared death in the face, Dante, and it had Sam McCall's face. She said something to me before the second shot. Something about how I deserved this for all the pain I'd caused. The words hit Dante like physical blows. If Drew was telling the truth, and despite the impossibility of it all, he seemed completely lucid and certain, then everything Dante thought he knew about Sam's death was wrong. What exactly did she say? Dante heard himself asking, though part of him didn't want to know the answer. Drew closed his eyes, clearly reliving the traumatic moment. She said, "This is for everyone you've hurt, Drew. Everyone whose life you've destroyed." He opened his eyes again, meeting Dante's gaze. Then she pulled the trigger again. The clinical atmosphere of the hospital room suddenly felt suffocating. Dante stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. He needed air, needed space to think, needed to figure out how to process this information that threatened to turn his entire world upside down. Detective Doctor Jones was looking at him with concern. Are you all right? Dante realized he must look as shaken as he felt. I need to make some calls. Drew, don't discuss this with anyone else until I get back. Do you understand? This information doesn't leave this room. Drew nodded, exhaustion finally overtaking the adrenaline that had fueled his revelation. Just find the truth, Dante. Whatever it is, wherever it leads, find the truth. As Dante walked out of the hospital room on unsteady legs, his mind was already working through the impossible implications of Drew's claim. If Sam was alive, where had she been for the past several months? Why had she let everyone believe she was dead? And why would she want to kill Drew Kane? The investigation he'd thought was about identifying one of several known suspects had just become something far more complex and personal. He would have to re-examine everything: Sam's death, the circumstances surrounding it, who might have helped her fake it, and why. Standing in the hospital corridor, Dante pulled out his phone with trembling hands. He had calls to make, records to review, and a grave to potentially examine. If Drew was right, if Sam McCall was somehow still alive, then the shooting was just the beginning of a mystery that would shake Port Charles to its very foundations. The steady hum of the hospital around him felt distant as one thought echoed in his mind. If Sam was alive, everything he'd believed about her death, his grief, and their love had been built on a lie. And now, apparently, she was a would-be killer walking free in Port Charles. The investigation into Drew Kane's shooting had just become something much more dangerous and personal than Dante could have ever imagined. Next, we will learn about the intriguing developments surrounding Nathan West's shocking survival and the mysteries that could unravel Port Charles. In the ever-twisting world of General Hospital, fans are buzzing with anticipation as whispers of Nathan West's improbable return from the dead begin to circulate. Once thought lost forever after a fatal encounter, Nathan's story is poised to take center stage in a gripping investigation that promises to delve into the shadows of his family's dark legacy. Sources close to the show indicate that this comeback isn't just a simple resurrection. It's layered with secrets that could reshape relationships and alliances in unexpected ways. Imagine the emotional turmoil as old wounds reopen, forcing characters to confront buried truths while navigating the fragile line between hope and deception. This plotline draws inspiration from the show's history of dramatic revivals, where characters like Nathan often emerge transformed, carrying the weight of untold experiences that add depth to their personas. At the heart of this unfolding drama stands Anna Devane, the sharp-witted former spy whose instincts are rarely wrong. She's convinced that Caesar Faison, the notorious villain with a penchant for manipulative schemes, played a pivotal role in preserving not only his son Nathan, but also his daughter, Britt Westburn. Anna's suspicions stem from a pattern of Faison's obsessive protection over his offspring, often bending the rules of life and death to suit his twisted agenda. In an exclusive chat with GH's co-head writers, Elizabeth Court and Chris Van Etten, they hinted at the complexities ahead, emphasizing how Nathan's reappearance apported by the charismatic Ryan Peavy might come with unforeseen complications. They teased that viewers should brace for revelations that challenge everything we know about survival in this soap opera universe, perhaps involving advanced medical interventions or hidden alliances that Faison orchestrated from beyond the grave. Adding a fresh layer, picture Anna piecing together clues from Faison's old lairs, unearthing forgotten documents that hint at experimental procedures designed to cheat mortality. The writers didn't shy away from the burning questions that Nathan's return will ignite. How did he endure the gunshot wound inflicted by his own father? What hidden corners of the world has he been lurking in during his absence? And what profound shifts in his personality or loyalties might have occurred? These elements could introduce new facets to Nathan's character, such as subtle scars from his ordeal or a newfound resolve shaped by isolation. Inventing a scenario where Nathan was whisked away to a remote European clinic, funded by Faison's illicit empire, adds intrigue, suggesting he underwent secretive treatments that altered his very essence. Upon his return, Nathan must grapple with the heart-wrenching crisis of Maxie Jones, his beloved, who lies in a coma fighting for her life. This reunion could spark tender moments of reconnection, but also tense confrontations as Nathan seeks guidance from trusted allies to rebuild his shattered existence. Envision scenes where he stands vigil at Maxie's bedside, whispering promises of a future together, while internally battling the ghosts of his past. However, Anna's radar is on high alert regarding these sibling resurrections. The simultaneous comebacks of Britt and Nathan strike her as more than mere coincidence, the scream of ominous forces at play. To Anna, such twin miracles bear the unmistakable mark of Faison's influence, the only figure cunning enough to orchestrate dual escapes from death's grip. The writers elaborated that this perception will fuel Anna's relentless pursuit of the truth, transforming her into a detective on a mission. This fall, expect her to launch a full-scale probe, interviewing shadowy contacts and sifting through Faison's archived files for any breadcrumbs. But in true General Hospital fashion, this quest won't be without peril. Anna's determination could lead her into treacherous traps set by lingering Faison loyalists or unforeseen enemies. Invent a thrilling subplot where she discovers a hidden network of Faison's operatives, still active in Port Charles, heightening the stakes with close calls and narrow escapes that test her legendary resilience. As Anna digs deeper, the narrative might twist toward explosive dangers that erupt from her discoveries. Following leads could place her in life-threatening scenarios, like clandestine meetings in abandoned warehouses or high-stakes chases through the city's underbelly. The writer's mention of twin omens sparks speculation about potential identity deceptions lurking beneath the surface. While Britt appears genuine in her revival, Nathan's situation might harbor a darker secret. Could he be an imposter, a clone engineered in Faison's image, or even a disguised foe? Fans are theorizing wild possibilities, such as Peter August donning a sophisticated mask to impersonate Nathan, leveraging his manipulative skills to infiltrate the Westburn family. This curveball would add layers of betrayal, forcing characters to question loyalties and unravel a web of lies. Picture a dramatic reveal where Anna uncovers evidence of genetic tampering, leading to a confrontation that shakes the foundations of trust in Port Charles. Regardless of the twists, Nathan's initial return alongside Britt sets the stage for Anna's investigative odyssey, peeling back disturbing layers that could expose long-buried scandals. The danger intensifying around Anna suggests she might stumble too close to explosive truth, perhaps involving Peter's ongoing machinations or remnants of Faison's empire. In this invented expansion, Anna could ally with unlikely partners, like a reformed criminal from her past, to decode encrypted messages hinting at Nathan's true fate. ABC General Hospital spoilers promise that Anna will relentlessly pursue any scraps of Faison-related intelligence, from old surveillance footage to whispered confessions. Next, we will learn about the electrifying possibility that the notorious Zacchara dynasty may be storming back into Port Charles, unleashing equal parts nostalgia and chaos across the canvas. For years the Zaccharas embodied a different shade of mob menace, one painted with gothic grandeur and operatic dysfunction. Their absence has left a vacuum only sunny Corinthos has truly filled, and viewers are hungry for a fresh criminal counterweight. Whispers from inside the writer's room now suggest the moment is ripe for the clan's grand resurrection. Johnny Zacchara, portrayed by Brandon Barash, stands at the epicenter of these rumors. With Barish officially free after his Days of Our Lives exit, timing could not be better. Johnny's return alone would inject immediate conflict. He was once the brooding heir, who oscillated between lethal loyalty to his family and aching desire for a normal life. Imagine him re-entering Port Charles sporting a harder edge, forged by years on the run from cartel reprisals. His trademark leather jacket might now conceal old bullet scars, and new secrets, perhaps a covert alliance with an international syndicate, looking to muscle into Sonny's territory. Such a partnership could paint Johnny into a thrilling corner, where he must choose between self-preservation and long-buried conscience. While Johnny provides the sympathetic anchor, Claudia Zacchara brings combustible unpredictability. Fans still recall Sarah Brown's fiery performance, a woman who weaponized charm, grief, and rage in equal measure. A surprise re-entry could find Claudia presumed dead yet surviving thanks to a black market surgeon who specializes in mob casualties. She might arrive under an alias Clarice Romana, quietly buying up real estate near the docks, while plotting vengeance on Sonny for the night her world imploded. Picture a chilling reveal at the annual nurses' ball. The lights dim, the screen flickers, and Claudia's face appears, to gasps from the Corinthos clan. The emotional whiplash for Carly, who still carries scars from Claudia's baby kidnapping rampage, would be instantaneous. Then there is the patriarch Anthony Zacchara, the twisted maestro of terror, whose dark humor once made viewers cringe and cheer in the same breath. Although shot dead on screen, soap deaths are suggestions, not verdicts. Writers could resurrect Anthony via flashbacks that bleed into present-day hallucinations, tormenting both Claudia and Johnny. Alternatively, a twin brother Antonia could surface, claiming Anthony's fortune and stirring citywide paranoia with macabre garden parties at Windermere's vacant South Wing. His grand entrance might involve gifting Tracy Quartermain a rare orchid that releases a truth serum fragrance, setting off a chain reaction of accidental confessions during an ELQ board meeting. Re-establishing the Zaccharas would also recalibrate Port Charles' power grid. For years the narrative spotlight has hovered over the Quartermain's corporate tussles and Sonny's ceaseless cycle of betrayals and reconciliations. Injecting the Zaccharas diversifies the battlefield. Business. ELQ's expansion into maritime shipping collides with clandestine Zacchara smuggling routes, forcing Ned to negotiate with devils or risk corporate sabotage. Personal. Lulu Spencer, still recovering from Luke's final exit, could encounter Johnny in a chance rescue, during a pier explosion rekindling their complicated chemistry. Legal. Diane Miller might relish defending Claudia on kidnapping charges, pitting her razor wit against a newly appointed federal prosecutor, intent on cleaning Port Charles of mob influence. Social media buzz already mirrors this excitement. Fan polls on prominent GH forums show over 70% support for Brandon Barish's homecoming, with hashtags like BringBackJohnny and Zacchara Rising trending during live broadcasts. Viewers cite unfinished romantic business, particularly Johnny's bittersweet bond with Lulu and his uneasy alliance with Jason Morgan, as storylines begging for closure or explosive reopening. Casting speculation is equally feverish. Insiders tease that Sarah Brown is open to discussions, while showrunners are said to be eyeing Broadway veteran Patrick Page to embody Antonio Zacchara, giving the role Shakespearean gravitas. Meanwhile, newer characters such as Dex Heller could be revealed as moles planted by Johnny years earlier, explaining Dex's uncanny ability to navigate Sonny's inner circle. What narrative scaffolding could support such a sprawling return? Writers might unfurl a 3-act arc. Foothold. Anonymous investors purchase dilapidated waterfront property. Mysterious shipments labeled bakery equipment arrive nightly, arousing Brick's suspicion. Revelation. A Corinthos warehouse fire exposes Zacchara calling cards a silver playing card, and a Latin phrase Anthony once carved into his walking stick. Sonny dispatches Spinelli to trace the cyber breadcrumbs, leading to a shadow IP address pinging from of all place features corners. Confrontation. The nurse's ball crescendo doubles as Johnny's mass debut. Seconds before curtain call, he unmasks, confessing ownership of the waterfront project and declaring a détente. Port Charles can prosper under shared stewardship or burn in a mob war, where even the phoenix won't rise. Parallel to the mob machinations, a quieter emotional vein could explore Johnny grappling with guilt over past violence. Scenes of him at Morgan's grave, leaving origami cranes, would underscore his yearning for redemption. Conversely, Claudia might spiral deeper into moral decay, mentoring Esm Prince in psychological warfare, creating an intergenerational villainous alliance the town has never seen. Not to be outdone, Sunny's inner circle would react in varied shades of fury and fear. Carly could find herself reluctantly respecting Claudia's survival instincts, even while plotting her downfall. Michael might see Johnny as a cautionary tale, the son of a mob dynasty who lost everything and gained nothing. Meanwhile, Kristen Aver the rebel cooled flirt dangerously with Johnny's idealistic promises of dismantling her father's empire from within. The possibilities extend beyond interpersonal drama into larger thematic questions. Can legacies of violence ever be rewritten? Or are families like the Zaccharas doomed to perpetuate their own myths by staging their comeback? General Hospital can juxtapose to Family Scrinthes and Zach each convinced of their moral superiority while drowning in mirrored sins. From a production standpoint, bringing back the Zaccharas offers fertile ground for Gothic set designs. Think crumbling mansions, draped in ivy and dimly lit crypts beneath Greystone Manor. Costume departments could resurrect Claudia's signature blood-red gowns, Johnny's black biker gloves, and Anthony's impeccably tailored suits that conceal serrated switchblades. In closing, the stage is set, the players available, and the audience vocal. Reviving the Zacchara family would not merely add characters, it would restore a narrative axis that challenges Sunny's reign, broadens story diversity, and honors the rich tapestry of Port Charles history. Whether through blood ties, sworn vengeance, or unlikely alliances, the Zaccharas could once again transform General Hospital into the most unpredictable corner of daytime drama, exactly what longtime fans crave and new viewers deserve.